what gap did you see in the market?
You can say that I got into technology right at the beginning, and I just had a real love of anything that could save you time in the day. It shaped my life because the one thing that all of us has that is equal is the amount of time that we have in our day. And it's really what we do with that time that changes the outcome. Technology has always been one of those things that just saves us time.
What's the values of your company?
Care and empathy and how we can be of service. Obviously providing the best service anybody could get anywhere because we've just got that little bit of extra care. 25 years ago, I could be the IT manager and handle everything, but it's like the medical industry now. You have a doctor for this and a doctor for that. It's the same as tech now. It's so broad and there's so many different specialties.
Hey guys, welcome to Peppermint I.T Sip and Solve. I'm here with the CEO, Louise Ridlen. And Louise, a lot of people have tuned into your podcast, the start of something amazing, but I think we're still to know more about you, your mission and vision, and what are your plans to be able to solve problems in the marketplace. That's why we're all here, and people are here for their problems to be solved. So you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I have been an IT consultant for 30 years now, and I fell into technology because I had actually started studying music after school, and I was thinking that I was going to be a piano teacher. And so I started teaching students, and then I thought, I do really love this, but it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I saw a job in the paper to teach people how to use typewriters. And that'll tell you a little bit about how long I've been around technology, because the typewriters had just come out with this technology where you could save a half, 2 or 3 lines of text on a little window on the screen so that you could edit it before you hit the print button. And then, it got to the point where you could have a whole page of text, and then you could press the print button and go make a cup of tea while your document printed. And so the job that I got was working for a company called Olivetti, and and my job was to go with the salesperson and do the demonstrations. I was just like the girl that sat there and showed them how it worked. And then if the sale came off, I would then go to the warehouse and I would pick up the kind of typewriter-ish computery thing. And then I would take it to the customer, and then I would teach them how to use it. And then those typewriters turned into personal computers, and then we learned how to use the operating system, and then how to train people in. It was back then called WordPerfect, and Lotus 123 was the spreadsheet application. And you could save on a floppy. So the computer on its hard drive had 640 kilobytes of memory, basically 640 characters that you could use at any given time. So those computers then, got bigger and faster, and Microsoft came onto the market, and the man from Microsoft came and showed me how to use Windows and how to use Word and Excel instead of WordPerfect and Lotus 123. That was such a big shift in the market. So you can say that I got into technology right at the beginning, and I just had, I think, a real love of anything that could save you time in the day. And when I think about the saving the time in the day, where that came from, I remember being home on a Saturday afternoon once by myself. I don't know why. I was a kid. I was probably 8 or 9, but I was watching television. And clearly my brother wasn't there, because if my brother was there, he was always in charge of the remote control. But this day, I was on my own watching this television program, and it was about a man who had 21 children or something, and he was a scientist and an inventor, and he just spent his entire day inventing things to make his day more efficient so that he could get from one end of the other with 21 kids and have things done. And so he had this contraption that picked up the 21 eggs and then cooked them and put them on plates so the kids would just come out. And I just I kind of feel like it shaped my life, because it made me really think about the one thing that all of us anybody in the world has that is equal is the amount of time that we have in our day. And it's really what we do with that time that that changes the outcome. And so for me, technology has always been one of those things that just saves us time. And well, sometimes it's a little bit annoying when a package comes out with something new and something different, and this screen's over here and that's over there. I love it when things change, because normally when there's a new version of an application, there's a quicker way to do something or a better way to do something, because they've done all the research and they've listened to all of the feedback. And so, so I guess my love of technology really is about how can we use it to create more time in the day. And that's my passion, and that's my goal. And it's about, how we can help people leverage what they have within their business using technology. It's kind of a long story, but that's about me. And that's where my passion for technology comes in. And it's really all about saving time. It's about, what systems can you have in place to automate things, so that you can be doing the things that you really love.
Wow, that's very powerful. So it's interesting because when you talk about IT and, I can get lost in that terminology, but when you put it like it helps save time, that's what makes me understand it way more, right? So I think that's really, really powerful that you're helping people save time. So when did you see that what gap did you see in the market? Like what made you, okay, there's one thing to notice that, but there's another thing to go and take action and launch your business. So what did you see in the marketplace that you just couldn't sleep and said, I need to come out and help people with this?
I think it's the frustration in general that people have around technology. And, I want to say that the younger generation have technology mastered, but I've got 2 kids and they don't. Some people do and some people don't. So it's not even an age-related thing. It's it's everybody's brain works a different way. For some reason, I can remember every single thing that I learned in a 2-day computer course, but I can't remember what I did yesterday. And so we all have different things that we're good at. And, remembering a piece of code or a fancy Excel formula seems to be easy for me, but I can't remember that I'm cooking a piece of toast and it's about to burn, So the thing that I'm really good at is technology, and not everybody is. And so it's really, really feeling quite empathetic for people who are struggling and feeling frustrated with technology. And the fact that particularly a lot of people my age didn't grow up with technology. And so they feel really frustrated and annoyed by it. And so for me, it's really about how can we reach as many people as possible and make them feel less stressed about technology. And this morning was a great example, because I arrived I'm away, and so I arrived in a co-working space, and they hadn't given me the internet password, and my Zoom wouldn't start, and there was all those issues that you have. And I think the difference for me is I know not to panic about it. I know that there is a series of events that are leading to the problem that I have, and it's a process of elimination. So it's just, sitting back, and that's why, IT lady for me kind of signifies the stress that you can have around technology. And it's always when you're in a hurry, when you want to be somewhere at a particular time and the printer doesn't work, or something isn't working. And so, so it's really about not just giving an answer to somebody on this is how you're going to fix it, but working with them so that they understand it as well. Because I want people to feel empowered and to feel like it's not out of their control to be able to fix their own problems. And I definitely don't want to make them feel like they're reliant on us because they can't solve it. What I want is for us to do it for them because they've got better things to do. And a lot of people don't have better things to do, and they want to sort out their IT themselves. And in that case, we'll train them. But for me, I felt like a lot of IT companies controlled the information, and it feels good for them that they know this and you don't know it. And so I'll do it for you, and don't you worry about it. You don't need to know. When I first started IT Lady 6 years ago, the most common comment that I got was, oh, someone's not going to treat me like I'm an idiot. And I just felt in the market there was so much of this, these are the IT people and they're the nerds and, they kind of, they're smarter or they're, different or whatever. And I'm no good at that. But it's not true. Like, everybody can do it. It's not hard. It's our job. So we know how to do it. But it's really not so much about, whether someone's smarter or whatever. Like, it's just, I can't. But I remember going to see a client one day and he was like, "Oh, I'm just so stupid. I can't do this. And I'm a computer dinosaur and I don't know how this works. And you're just going to be really frustrated when you were working with me." But he'd just come out from fixing like a boom gate at the building that he was managing. And I was like, "Well, I can't fix a boom gate." So like, I'm not, it just is, this is my job and that's your job. And I'm, really, I feel like in tech, we need to share more of our knowledge. If people and our clients want to do things themselves, then I'm really happy about that. But if they've got better things to do and it's more efficient for us to be doing this part of their business, then, then I want to be making sure that we're servicing and we're able to just take away that frustration.
So I think that's also a very important business lesson in terms of like that service that you're providing. You're not just doing it for them, but you're also there to teach them and help them understand it. So if I'm no longer here, you guys have a system and SOP in place that that you taught them. And I think that's very, very important, not only on the business side, and it's amazing on the customer side. So they get 2 in 1, they get it done for them, but they also either they get the team trained on it or you guys are doing it for them, but they understand where it is where. So anything happens to you, or maybe, they don't work with you anymore, whatever the case may be, they have that system in place. So I want to put it in practical terms. So like, let's say I say, Louise, IT, I don't understand it because yes, I'm not the best at it. I try not to I don't have any time for it, to be honest. I focus on what I love. How can you help me?
Well, I need to understand a little bit more about you and your business and what you do and what's important to you. So there's a lot of different ways that that a tech company can help you. And these days, the most important way that we can help you is to make sure that your systems are secure. And so security and monitoring and all of those types of things that, part of what we would call a tech stack that we use to secure and protect business systems is one of the things that just means that you don't have to be thinking about that at all. And every day we get emails from people where they've said, somebody sent me this and, can you check if this is, if this is a legitimate email, or somebody's called me and this has happened. And so there's just so many issues at the moment. And in terms of people being really concerned about security. And from a business perspective, when you've got employees and you've got staff and you've got, lots of different ways into your network, that's one thing that needs to be protected. But also from a personal perspective, we get, every day on the news, there's something about this scam or that scam or this thing or that thing. So it's really front of mind for people to be concerned about their security. And so the first thing that we want to do when we're working with clients is make sure that their systems are secure and that they're feeling comfortable, that they don't have to be thinking about that on a regular basis. The second thing that we want to do then is make sure that their systems are efficient. And my litmus test on that is there anything that you do multiple times a day or even 2 times a week or even 3 times a month that you have to repetitively do? And anything that's a repetitive task that has, a similar set of, steps that you have to go through can be automated. And so it's really thinking about what are those things that we do regularly that we can automate, either through a CRM or through a system or using AI or, whatever it is that's going to help us allow you to get more time in your day. So that's the second thing is I was really thinking about what are those repetitive tasks. So you've got security, you've got repetitive tasks, and then it's really about efficiency, and that's all about what systems do you have. So what's your base system? Does everybody use it? Does everybody know how to use it? Does it have, systemized approaches? If somebody's coming into the business, they've just started working for you, how easy is it for them to pick up what those processes are? And I think particularly for a small business as you're growing, and I know for me the most difficult thing when I'd been a consultant and in charge, and I just knew everything was in my head. It was totally fine where it was, but getting it out of your head and getting it into other people's, getting it into a process that other people can follow is one of the biggest challenges when you're growing a business. And so, I heard something recently that for entrepreneurs and business builders that you have to have your systems before you have people. Because you put the people in, and I the first time around did it the wrong way. I brought the people in, and I thought they could create the systems, but it's too confusing. Nobody really knows what to do. So so it's really important to get those systems in place, and those systems are really what operating system are you using? Where's your domain name registered? What website have you got? Is everybody on the same platform? Do you have a place where everybody's storing and sharing documents from a secure place? And there's those kind of ground rules on how the business is set up from a technology perspective, and then what CRM are you using, and does that work the best for you? And how are you managing time? What's your time management system, and how does that flow through to invoicing? And we often see where there's breakdowns in those systems, and particularly when you're building, you think somebody said this is really great, and somebody said that's really great. No, this app does this app's really good for this, and this app's really great for that. And so you end up with your marketing person telling you this is great, and your salesperson telling you this app's great, and then your accounting people saying this is great, and then and then your operations people saying this is great. So quite often as you build, you end up with lots of different things that do different things for you. It's like, oh, what app do I use for that? Really, when you're thinking about systems, it's really important to make sure that they connect with something else that you're using. So, you might just want to start with an Excel spreadsheet with all of your customers, or a Google Sheet with all of your customers. But then, how do you track that, and how are you managing where all of that information lives, and how are you invoicing, and are you tracking how much time you're spending on each of those clients, or what products are you selling? And so, there's just so much that your systems can do when they're integrated now and all working seamlessly together.
One of the things that stood out to me in what you said was how you guys automate those repetitive tasks. And when I think of that straight away is, yes, you help me save time. If this can be automated in the way we function and what helps us market, what helps us gain our clients, that is so, so valuable. And then even on the operation side, when we talk about growing a business, a huge part of that is the leadership development. And so if you can have a system in place for now, people to come in and perform extraordinary is so, so powerful. So I think for every business, even you got me thinking so much more about it. And it's so true to have your team, when you're recruiting the best people, they got to come into somewhere that they can see what to do, where to go. It just makes their life so much easier. So I think that's really, really powerful.
And I was listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast the other day, and he said something like, I realized when I start businesses that basically I'm just my main job is a recruitment agency, because you just it's the people. And I think actually he said the meaning of the word company is people working together. And so it's so important to make sure that you've got the right people. But you can have the most amazing person, and if there's not really really solid systems, and they don't know what it is that's expected of them, or how to do that work, then things can fall apart pretty quickly. So for me, starting any business, it needs to, you need your technology platform really solid. So technology and systems and how all of that's set up gives you a really great solid foundation for then adding your people on. And in a small business, outsourcing both of those things is the best way to go. It's an investment in how much time you're going to get out of your employees when they start. So if they start and they're like fumbling around to find where documents are and what processes are and how this works and that works, then you're wasting their time as well and your own time. So everything kind of comes back to time and how efficiently you can run that business based on the systems and processes that you have in place.
Yeah, two things there. Yeah, I read a quote in a book going back to that CEO quote. How can you make ordinary people perform extraordinary? And it goes back to the systems that you want to help ordinary people perform extraordinary because you have the right systems in place. And even what you do is also so powerful is not only do you help them save time, but you help them save money. And, cash is the oxygen in any business. And so if we have these, we're able to delegate this, it helps save so much money because there's so many apps that you don't need. There's so many things that you're going, like you said, they're getting all these apps, but they don't necessarily need those apps. So having you there, it's like, this is what's effective. This is what works. So you save your money on that, and you save more money by having your team save their time, to be able to just go in and do what they need to do. So that's why I think this is so vital. And we're living in a day and age where everything is on technology. We've seen it. If your technology is down, that's everything. It can really go pear-shaped. If careful.
Yeah. Even I went to see a client the other day, and they were in a co-working space, and the internet had stopped, and people were just going home. Like that was slightly out of the city, and the mobile range, everyone was on 4G and they were hotspotting, and I'm like, well, that's it. I guess we'll go home. So you're right. So technology is the foundation of so much of the work that we do now, and getting that right in the first place is super important.
What's the values of your company? What are the values? What's the culture like?
Our main tagline is that we provide tech support with care. And so care and empathy is one of our main values. Our values are in all of our job descriptions. So we have a Peppermint I.T. It's kind of like a Bible. We call it the rules of the game, and that's a 7-page document that outlines how we work together, how we work with our clients, and it's very clear on what our values are and how we treat each other and how we treat our clients. And from my perspective, I guess as a female in the tech industry, 30 years ago, whenever I went to an industry event, there were 500 men and 2 women. It's a lot better now, but it's still it's still a very male-dominated industry, and that's one of the things that we're here to change. And I think from my perspective, it's just about being a little bit more caring and understanding. Often I think when we see clients, people tell us a lot of stuff. Like when you're working with somebody on their computer, I think because there's no eye contact, like you're on their computer and they're sitting next to you watching that, they like pour out all kinds of information. So sometimes it's a little bit, you can tell people are frustrated about something. Sometimes it's not the computer. There's something else going on in their lives, and it's, coming through with this frustration. Now my computer won't work and everything's fallen to pieces. And so it's really important for us to be really empathetic and caring and just look out for extra things. So quite often you say, oh, I can't print. And so the technician will come in and fix the printer. But while you're there, there's 4 or 5 other things that we can be looking at as well to say, well, what about this and what about that? And how else can we help you? So it's really, our values are really based on care and empathy and how we can be of service. And, obviously providing excellent service and the best service, I think that anybody could get anywhere. And that's because we've just got that little bit of extra care about, what else can we do to help you and how else can we solve your problems, and is there anything else that we can do to make your day easier? And so it's about noticing and being really curious and aware of what else is happening in that person's day. Like, what else are you doing today that we could potentially save you time so that you can go home at 5 o'clock or you can go spend time with your family? I guess one of the most difficult things for me in building that business was that's my values, but how do you get your values into the people that you employ? And that's the next kind of challenge. And so we have the rules of the game and our values are like all over the walls in our office. They're pasted everywhere, and it's kind of drilled into everybody. And I guess, those conversations in the office about, how we treat our clients and how we want them to feel valued, and that, we're here. Our primary goal is to save them time in their day. That's our thing. So that's all about our values.
I really like the empathy and care, on your clients to know that it's going to be okay. So who are your main clients now? Like who are your main clients? Who are the people that you serve? Is it niche? Is it niche down to a particular industry? And then the next question would be, like, what are your goals? What are you trying to reach? Who are the next people that you really see continuing to have these type of problems? Or is it just more scaling and expanding on the people that you have already?
So our specialty is small to medium business. My passion is startup businesses. I love helping businesses make sure that they've got a really solid foundation as they build. The problem with those is that they're normally small and they don't usually always have a whole lot of money. So they're our passion projects. And through our charity IT Lady, we're really hoping to be able to get funding for particularly female founders is one of our strong goals. In terms of making sure that our business is sustainable, our best client is, somewhere between 5 and 50 customers. A lot of MSPs will only deal with people with businesses over 100 because that's where you actually start making money. But our passion is those smaller businesses that don't necessarily have their own IT, in-house IT, or even if they do have an in-house IT person, or quite often there's somebody in the office who's the best at technology and they've got another job, but they also are the person that everybody asks about those questions. And really what we want to do is relieve that person of the extra anxiety of having to do 2 jobs rather than 1. And so a company that either has a single IT person who just needs some backup is really great for us, or a business that doesn't really need to have the expense of a full-time IT person. And the difference between that now and 10, even 5 or 10 years ago is that 25 years ago I could be the IT manager and handle everything, but it's like the medical industry now. You have a doctor for this and a doctor for that. It's the same as tech now. It's so broad and there's so many different specialties. You've got software engineers and web developers and, network engineers and there's, security specialists. And it's really difficult. It's pretty much impossible for one person to be an expert at all of those things. So it's almost nowadays you do need to have some kind of outsourced IT, unless you're a big company and you've got an entire IT department of, you really need 4 or 5 people as specialists if you've got that many people to support. So for us, it's really being able to give that support because we've got a team of 13 and we've got experts in every area. And so it's, for a quarter of the price, you get a whole lot of expertise in an outsourced IT business. So we love professional services companies, particularly, things like engineers. We love aged care centres because we do a fair bit of work with that through our IT Lady charity with digital mentors and aged care people. So that really aligns with our values as well. Not-for-profits, we have quite a lot of not-for-profits that we work with as well. And so, any kind of professional services, accountants, lawyers, small to medium businesses.
Wow. Really just seeing how, even throughout this conversation, how really valuable it is and what you do and just helping to save that time, money, efficiency, and really, again, having that care is really Powerful. Before we go, can we talk a little bit about the charity? When did that evolve? How did that come from your imagination?
So the charity kind of evolved. So I actually started. So I'd been a consultant for all of that time, and I had young kids, and I was a single mum, and it was super busy. And then the kids went to university, and I was like, oh, so now is the time that I can take what I do and expand it, because as a consultant, you have a limited capacity. There's only so many hours in the week. And so I don't drink coffee. One day I was at a client and I had a cup of tea, and they said, oh, you drink a lot of tea, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I'm like the IT lady, aren't I? And so the IT lady kind of came about because it does have that double connotation for me, in that a lot of times when there's frustrations about technology, something's crashed or something's not working, or you're trying to work out a formula and it doesn't work, or this doesn't connect to that, or you're just doing something repetitive and it's driving you crazy. Moving away, standing up, going and getting a cup of tea, having a bicky, taking a break and taking a breath is really, sometimes you come back and the problem has solved itself. So I always say, go and have a cup of tea and a bicky, and then come back, and if it hasn't solved itself, then give us a call. And so the IT lady really kind of came about because of that. And so we operated through the IT lady for a period of time, and then we got a couple of grants through an amazing organisation called the Good Things Foundation in Australia, and they're funded by the Australian government to bridge the digital divide. And so we got some funding through them to run some programs to help people with their digital technology. And so we started a program called the iPad Lending Program, where we lent people iPads while they were in hospital. And that came about because my son spends a fair amount of time in hospital. And often when I'm there with him, there's, people just isolated and lonely in the ward, and they've often got there in a hurry and they've been picked up by the ambulance or something's happened, and then they're just stuck with nothing to do. And so we had all these iPads in the office, and so I thought, why can't we lend people iPads while they're in hospital? So we started with the iPad hospital. That took like a long time to set up, but that started working really well. And then we got a grant to train digital mentors, and so my thought about that was, I remembered when my kids were in school doing Duke of Ed, it was really hard to find them volunteer jobs, and so I thought, this is what a great opportunity for us to go into schools and help kids get some volunteer time. And so we put a call out, and within 2 weeks we had 109 kids from 3 different schools who we trained as digital mentors. And then we connected them with people in the local retirement village, and it just was the most beautiful thing. And so for the kids, like, they didn't even care about the volunteer hours, it turned out. It was, it gave something that they were good at, that they felt really comfortable with. And the time that they spent with with the older people in the retirement village, it was just a win-win on both sides. And for us, such a beautiful thing to be part of. So I really wanted to expand those programs, and to do that, we needed to become a registered charity. So that meant that we had to set up a new company. So we did this kind of whole reshuffle 12 months ago, where we then needed. So then we're like, well, okay, so we need another brand name. And IT lady seemed to, it just seems to work nicely with the charity side. So we looked around the office for some different types of tea, and we found that Peppermint I.T. We're like, Peppermint I.T, that's great because it's fresh and it's it's invigorating, and it's really good for the brain, and it's good for digestion, and so we split the company then into 2, and we set IT Lady up as a charity, and that took 11 months, but we finally got our DGR status right before Christmas. I was super happy about that, and all of the amazing things that we can do in terms of empowering people who don't have the facility to be able to connect with technology. And that's anything from the digital mentor program, the iPad program that we're really keen on expanding out, as well as getting funding for underprivileged, and remote people who don't have the capacity. We really would love to help women entrepreneurs build their business, and we'd love to be able to provide them with websites and their technology startup foundation so that they can really build their businesses. And so we're super excited about that. We also work with another amazing organization called SuccessWorks, and SuccessWorks help women coming out of the criminal justice system. And so we're really keen to do as much work as we can with training more women to be tech experts, to go in and, to go to, people's houses and help them with technology, but also to learn how to support businesses. Because I think as women, we can do it in a caring and efficient way, because we're very good at multitasking.
Very good. To add on that, that's really powerful, even on the charity part, to continue to give and have the service of giving, and also seeing how it developed from your own experience with your son and going to hospital and saying, okay, how can I continue to give? And again, comes back to that empathy. Is there anything you want to now leave your audience, your first podcast episode being released, and just what are people going to come to expect from this show? And yeah, what encouragement do you want to give out to people?
So I'm really excited to talk to lots of different people and find out what it is that drives them in their business, and what motivates them to get up every day. I'm kind of nosy about technology, so quite often people have a question about this or about that, or general things like, I want to know, do you use an iPhone or a Samsung? Or do you use Windows and Google, and what are the benefits of that to you? And everybody has a different way that they use technology, and I've done a lot of teaching over 30 years as well. And when you teach, you learn more. And so I'm really interested to kind of understand more about how people use their applications and how they integrate things and what works for them, because it's just a great way of sharing knowledge, which is, our other reason for being here. Saving time, sharing knowledge.
Saving time and sharing knowledge. And while we sip our tea and solve problems.
Sip tea.
Thanks so much, Louise. We really appreciate you coming. And make sure everyone likes, shares, and subscribes. So, thanks.
Thank you.